Assalamu alaikum friends. Today we will be dealing with the topic tympanometry. Tympanometry is an audiological test which assesses the middle ear function. In tympanometry, the middle ear function is assessed by measuring two important factors. The first one is tympanic membrane compliance and the second one is middle ear pressure. Now, in this video, I will teach you about the basic physics by which the tympanometry measures the tympanic membrane compliance. In tympanometry, we use two probes. One is used to send sound signals of 220 Hz into the ear canal, and the other probe is a microphone which is used to catch up the reflected sound signals from the tympanic membrane. Okay friends, it is more than enough if you use your basic common sense to understand this concept. Okay, on the screen now you see a racket which is in completely normal condition. The strings are properly aligned and they are intact. Okay, if an object is thrown at this racket, it is bounced back. You know why? Okay, now let us see the second scenario. This racket is completely torn and there is no tension on the string. Okay, when an object is thrown at this racket, will it bounce back? No, it doesn't bounce back. Okay, I hope now you understood the basic physics. The tension in the string is responsible for the bouncing back action. Now you consider this racket and the strings to be the tympanic membrane and the rubber which I threw at the racket to be the sound waves. If the tympanic membrane is tense, the bouncing, that is the reflection of the sound waves, will be more. And if the tympanic membrane is loose, the bouncing or reflection of the sound waves will be less. This is the basic physics by which tympanometry works. After the understanding of basic physics, it is clear that the tension or resistance in the tympanic membrane is responsible for the reflection of sound waves which we give with the probe from the external auditory canal in the tympanometry. Thus, if the resistance of the tympanic membrane is more, that if the tympanic membrane is more tense, more sound waves will be reflected. Similarly, if the resistance or tension of the tympanic membrane is less, I mean if the tympanic membrane is very loose, like the second tone tone racket which I have showed in the video, the reflection of sound waves will be very less. With this principle, we measure the compliance. To understand how do we measure the compliance, we need to know the relationship between resistance and compliance. It is a basic knowledge. We know that compliance and resistance are inversely related. It means if the resistance of the tympanic membrane is more and more waves are reflected, the compliance is less. And if the resistance of the tympanic membrane is less and less waves are reflected, the compliance is more. With the help of this mechanism, we measure the tympanic membrane compliance. Okay, let me explain you with an example. In ossicular discontinuity, there is no resistance to the movement of tympanic membrane because there is no bones attached to the tympanic membrane firmly in ossicular discontinuity, and hence the compliance becomes very high. Similarly, in ossicular fixation or fluid in middle ear, the movement of the tympanic membrane is restricted. There is more resistance to the movement of tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane is very tense and hence more sound waves are reflected and the compliance is very low. Hence, with the help of compliance and middle ear pressure, we can diagnose various middle ear diseases.